Ivan here. So my son is a huge Spider-Man fan. Not this one, the other one. This crazy guy. So a few weeks ago he came up to me and said, Boppy, I was watching YouTube and making a lot of cool web shooters. Can you make me one? I figured I can build anything else, so let me give it a try. So I went on YouTube, I checked out Sean's Crafts, and he made a pretty cool web shooter, so I figured, hey, let me give it a try. So follow along and I'll show you how I made it. This kid's nuts. So here's what you need. A few sheets of 1/16 inch cardboard. I got 6mm magnets, a box of 5mm magnets, some 50mm springs, a whole bunch of super glue because you're going to need it, sticky fingers, a razor knife, an X-Acto knife, the good old hole puncher, some string, popsicle sticks, good old pencil, my square, duct tape can fix anything, masking tape, and the good old scissors. So the first thing I did was print out his templates, and I just cut everything out with a pair of scissors. Then everything I cut out, I put it on the cardboard. I try to keep the straight edges up against the cardboard so I already have straight lines. Kind of use the cardboard to your advantage. Just traced everything out, and then eventually cut it out with the X-Acto knife or my razor knife. And just keep going. Put all the pieces on your piece of cardboard. Again, you want to be careful with the corrugation because we're going to be folding some of these pieces, so make sure the corrugation goes up and down with these pieces. And here I'm just tracing everything out on the cardboard, and then after I'm going to write the actual number to the piece so I don't get it confused with other pieces. Some cuts like this are super thin and fragile, so I just use the paper as a template and use the X-Acto knife to cut right on the lines. Now this is the main armature piece. Alright, there's actually straight lines that you want to line up, and those are where you're going to be bending and folding this piece. So make sure you transfer those lines over, use a square or straight edge, and make nice straight lines. Once you got that good, then you can take one of your knives and start cutting out that main piece. Alright, so cut everything out on the cardboard. Now this is piece 21. This is part of the actual trigger assembly, if you will. So I cut that out, and those circles are exactly the size of a hole puncher. So I just go through all 8 circles and use the hole puncher to cut those out. Nice and easy. This is piece 16. Do the same thing. Trace it out and cut that out. And then you can use your hole puncher as well to punch all those holes out. Now for pieces 2 through 7, you want to do a second cut for these. And these are going to be on the other side, almost like a mirror effect to give the illusion of the spider. And same deal, just use your knife and cut all these out. Don't cut your finger off, people, Jesus. And there's all your pieces right there on the side. Okay, so now I just use my square. I put it right on those marks, and I bend up just to get that initial sharp bend. Then I'll flip it over, do it on the other side. And again, when you cut these out, make sure the corrugation is going up and down. It'll make bending these so much easier. Once you got those initial 2 bends, now I want to bend the wings. So just kind of work the corrugations here. You'll feel the individual corrugations and just kind of slowly make your way up. Once you do one side, you can flip it over and then start bending the other side. Okay, starting to look like something. Let me put this on real quick. Let me see. Okay, doing it. So like I told you earlier, you want to make 2 sets of this spider design. So just line them up really neat so you're nice and organized. And then basically you're just going to start taking each piece with the glue and gluing it on to make the logo. This is very tedious. My fingers got stuck a million times. But just take your time with it and it'll come out real nice. These 2 pieces make the cuff, so again, make sure the corrugation's proper because you're going to be bending these as well. So I made marks of reference on both sides, 1/2 inch on one side and 3/4 inch on the other side. These just give me a point of reference, so when I glue them to the actual armature, I have a nice spacing. And then again, you want to bend them to give them a nice curve because we're about to glue them to the armature. Okay, and very simply, a little strip of glue, line up those marks on your armature, press and hold. And then do the same thing for the other side. Nice and easy. No sticky fingers. Super glue sucks. So now we're going to make the barrel. You want to grab your spring and just roll the paper over that. You don't want it to be too tight because the bullet is going to go inside this barrel, and if it's too tight, it's going to cause too much friction. So keep it kind of loose and just roll it up. And once you're done with this, you can glue it. Once you're done with that, it's a good idea to actually glue the whole barrel. It's going to make it solid and firm so you don't have any issues later. Glue everything. Now you take that little brown circle that you cut out. I kind of use a chopstick. You want to glue it up so it's solid as well. So just keep turning your stick and gluing it so it becomes solid. That's going to actually hold the bullet. And now for more tediousness, pick up the barrel, put a few drops of super glue because now you're going to glue that circle piece of cardboard onto it. And again, this is going to actually hold the bullet in place and not flying out. So this is a very important step. And then glue the whole thing to make it solid. And now time to make the actual bullet itself. I got a chopstick, cut it the width of that piece of paper, number 11. And this is the part where originally the paper was too long, so I had to redo it. So this is actually the second time around. So I wanted it to fit within that spring. So I had to make sure it was very tight, and I rolled that chopstick as tight as I could all the way up. And then just glue that flap. Once that dries, glue the whole thing as well so it's nice and solid. Then after you glue the flap, you're going to put a little bit of glue at the tip and put your first 6mm magnet on top of that. I didn't show it here, but you want to glue a 5mm magnet on the other side as well. Now here you're going to want to run that strip around the bullet, so put a little bit of glue to start. Grab your strip, put it on there, and just slowly wrap it around. It's tedious because the glue keeps getting stuck to your finger. Then just glue everything. Again, you want to make this whole piece solid, so glue where it meets, the seams, and the whole top. Then take your 50mm spring, make sure it slides over the bullet nice and easy. Again, your 5mm magnet should be on the bottom, and your 6mm magnet is on the top. And just do that, that's disgusting, to make sure that it works. And only glue where the spring meets the head, or else the spring won't work. Alright, now take the bullet, put it inside the barrel, and make sure it works. The spring should be held back by that cardboard circle that you glued on, and there it goes. It's going to work. Now this is piece 13. Same thing, you should have cut it with the corrugation going up and down, and again, give it that nice bend and work the corrugations. Now you want to take the barrel and put it inside that piece. Now see how I have that point? You don't want that point. You want it flat. That's how I messed up the gun. So don't make it a point right there. Try to make that tip very, very flat before you glue it. Alright, so piece 14, you already cut it out. Put the piece of paper back over it. Those two black lines, you're just going to cut off the top layer of the cardboard. This is just going to give it a nice spider effect to go with the rest of the logo. So don't cut too deep, again, just the very top layer of the cardboard. And with your knife, just carefully peel away that top layer. You'll see how it looks in a minute. Now again, the corrugation should be going up and down. You want to give this a little bit of a bend, work the corrugations, just like we've done previously. Alright, so now we're going to glue on the barrel assembly. Again, make sure it's flat. That point that I made, you don't want that. You want it very flat. It's a little tedious there. It's tough to get a nice stick, but do what you got to do and make it work. Now take piece 14, put it right over the barrel, and trying to line up those marks that you made, those cuts I mean, right with that logo to get that cool spider effect. Now to build a trigger assembly, put piece 17 over the popsicle stick and cut that out. Then after you cut out piece 17, you want to get piece 16 that was in cardboard, add some super glue to it, and then you're going to connect the two pieces. Now for piece 18, you want to cut out a piece of wood the same exact size and glue them both together. Now those two pieces that you just made, you're going to put them side by side. See this little gap in the middle? Get your sweet piece of duct tape and just tape them together. That's going to be your flex point, which is going to allow your trigger to work. And I covered up two of the holes for the magnet, so I just got to cut those out real quick with the duct tape. Now for more tediousness, glue each hole, take a 6mm magnet and put one in each of the holes. It was a pain, the magnets kept getting stuck, the glue got stuck to my finger. Just take your time. Alright, somehow I forgot to record this little step, but you want to get that little piece of wood inside that hole in the middle, alright, with a little bit sticking out, and you're going to glue all that together. I also have a little piece on top that I glued, and that's going to hold the actual bullet in place. And this is all part of the trigger mechanism, so make sure it's solid. Okay, now you want to take piece 21 and that previous piece of wood that you cut out previously, and you're going to glue these two pieces together. Again, make sure those square holes line up. Now you have your two pieces that make up the trigger assembly. You want to put the magnets in the other side as well. So what you have to do here is check the polarity of each magnet and then put the correlating magnet on the other side. So when these are together, they attract properly. Once all the magnets are in line, put these two pieces together. You want a little bit of glue on the bottom side. Stick it and just hold it for a minute to have it set up. Now put a dab of glue at the end of your trigger assembly and get your little pad, number 23, and glue that on. Once your trigger assembly is all set, put some glue on the actual wood, and you're going to connect that to the back and bottom of the armature. And make sure that piece of wood is very close to your barrel. Now you want to add a bunch of glue all on the bottom there to make sure that that assembly is secure and everything's locked and solid. Alright, now I have to create a clasp mechanism so it actually locks on your wrist. So I put 3 dots kind of equally spaced. Then I'm going to use my hole puncher and punch these holes out. Then I'll be putting the magnets in there and gluing them in. Once those 3 holes are punched, I fold it over on itself, and now I'm going to use my pen to draw circles so I know where to punch my next holes. So I put a piece of duct tape on one side so when I put in the magnets they don't fall out. I want to be able to glue the magnets, so this duct tape will hold them in place. I use 6mm magnets for this as well. Once those are glued in, I grabbed 3 other magnets to figure out the polarities, stuck those to those magnets, and then I drew a little bit of black on the top. And these magnets are going to go on the other side of the clasp so it locks in nice and tight. Once the magnets on both sides are glued, just going to make sure it works and locks. There you go. Looks good. Now is the fun part, painting. I got an acrylic black matte finish and just went nuts painting everything in all the crevices. Paint whatever color you like. Go nuts. So I ran into 3 particular issues in making this web shooter. The first being the actual bullet itself. In the instructions it says to wrap this around that bamboo stick. I did it, and then the spring wasn't able to slide over that. So I had to make another one, and I cut about 4 or 5 inches off that piece of paper and then rolled it around here, and then it finally fit. The second issue was the barrel inside there. If you can see that, it's actually pointing up. I wasn't aware how important it was to keep that very flat on top of this web shooter, and once I glued it all in with the super glue, it was locked solid. So that barrel pointing up creates this issue. Okay, so you have that going on where it doesn't actually sit. See what's going on right there? So if that barrel was more flat and sitting right on this particular part right there, this would have worked a whole lot better. And then secondly, because my bullet was so high, I had to increase the length of this stay mechanism right here. And doing that, it creates a bend in the actual wood itself. So with that bend, it doesn't keep it as tight as it should be. I mean, you really need this thing way over here to keep that tight. So those are the issues that I had. I really don't want to make this again. This took about 10 hours to build this particular one. So I'm going to leave it as is. It was a good prop for my son's Halloween costume. He enjoyed it, and it was a pretty cool project. But those are 3 things that I ran into. So if you want to make this, just be aware of those, and you should be golden. So if you're into any cool DIY projects like this, or home renovation, construction, and how to, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel. Thanks.